Welcome back, Wargamers. So I just got back from Italy last night and I'm a little jet lagged, but I figured I'd throw together a quick tutorial on how I make my flock. Every terrain channel worth its salt has a flocking video, so here's my attempt. And I'm going to be using wood flour to make my flock. I know a lot of people use kitty litter or coffee grounds or even kind of coarser sawdust, but I like to use this really fine stuff. I basically only use homemade flock now for making my wargaming mats, which it's really nice to have a really fine flock to really adhere to the caulk. And then for trees, that's really the only use I really have for this homemade flock, because you're not going to get as high quality as store-bought flock, especially static grass, which is what I use on most of my terrain these days. So there's limited use for this, but really if you're making your homemade mats and you need tons and tons of cheap flock, this is still a really nice method to use. So next I'm just going to take some cheap poster paint and pour it into my wood flour, which I put into a mason jar, and I'm going to just use a plastic spoon to mix it all together. I'll add some more paint as I go to get a darker tone, but the key here is to stir, stir, stir. You want to make sure that paint is evenly distributed through all the wood flour. You don't want the paint clumping up in certain sections, and so spend a few minutes making sure you really distribute that paint all around evenly to get a nice kind of solid tone to the flour. And you'll notice even just pouring it out, it will already be mostly dry if you've mixed it well enough. So here it is, kind of like the initial result. You can see that wood flour has turned to a nice dark green. So now I'm just going to put the flock out on a paper towel to let it dry for a few hours. It's mostly dry already. This is just kind of a precaution to make sure you're not putting down wet flock on your terrain, which you do not want to do. So I'll put it out here, mix it all together by hand, and then you'll notice I'll start kind of putting some flock between my hands and running them together. This is to make sure that I break up any of the clumps of paint that have accumulated within the wood flour. If you do not do this, then your wood flour, when it dries, will have almost like these rock hard balls of paint, which look terrible when you put them on your terrain. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes going through, rubbing my hands together, and if you notice, by breaking up the paint, you'll also make your flock a little bit darker of a color. So anticipate that. If you want a lighter color, put less paint in, because you will, in the process of sifting through your wood flour, you will darken the flock. And if you want to, you can also use a colander or a flour sifter. That works well too for breaking up these clumps of paint. Now I'm quickly just going to show you one use I use for this flock, and that is making my trees. So here I have a lichen tree that I'm spraying with some adhesive, and I'm just going to run it through this flock. I like to put flock upon my lichen just because it gives it kind of a denser feel. It makes it look, I think, more like a clump of foliage from a tree. So here I am just running it all the way through, very easy, and then when you're done, I think you get a more full-bodied look to your trees than if you had just used the normal lichen. So that's one quick use, and as I've said, I also use this stuff for making my wargaming mats. So there you go. Quick little tutorial on how you can make some pretty decent flock for your wargaming terrain. If you liked this video, please do like and subscribe, and I will be coming back at you with some more terrain videos soon.